Hey there, welcome to the video. I have some different examples of budget self-defense tools outside of firearms that you may consider. Not all of these items may be legal in your area, and that's for you to know. But where I live, everything is legal. And so I have all the choices in the world. And so I exploit them. And I carry a firearm, but there's times though that I want to carry other items so that I won't have to be forced into using a firearm for self-defense. I would love to use non-lethal or less than lethal every time over a firearm because there's a large probability that that person could die if I shoot them. And luckily, I've never been in that situation that I had a draw gun, but I've had to do other things to protect myself. And thankfully, I had non-lethal means to draw from first. Now, with that being said, I'm not going to talk about everything that's out there. I don't own everything that's out there, so I can't show everything. But there are self-defense canes, self-defense umbrellas. There's a lot of different keychain devices. Most of them, in my opinion, are kind of gimmicky, but some of them are probably okay. That's kind of for you to decide. And of course, it just goes on and on. Sometimes it's a layered approach that works. Some people like to wear steel-toed boots because it gives you a little more edge. If you want to kick, you can be more powerful in your kicking, and so forth. So let's go ahead and jump in just to some of the things here that I have. The first is a folding knife. Some folding knives are usable not only just as a blade, but also as kind of like a kubaton or a pressure point or maybe an impact weapon. This one's made out of aluminum in terms of the handle, and so it's pretty stout, believe it or not. And it has a pretty decent blade, and that's what you're kind of looking for, is something that has a bit of reach. I think this is probably one of the best values going if you're wanting to just go for size. This is the Spyderco Bird Cara Cara 2. These are found for like $20 on Amazon right now. And you can get them in just like a plain edge or a combo edge. It may be better to get the combo edge for self-defense so you have a little more aggressive edge for cutting flesh if you just had to go that route. I would love to see in the future them come out with a fully serrated version of this. But I wear extra large gloves, and I mean, I totally fill out extra large gloves, and you can see how big this knife is. It's a pretty good sized knife. I mean, very high value. Now, I didn't really tell you about the price on this. This one, I'm not even sure if it's available anymore. I've had this for so many years. This is a Maxim knife. It's just an assisted opener. I think this one was going for like $15. So it's very generic, but it's just being used as an example that you can use it for other purposes just because of the contour and just the way that it's designed. There's a lot of knives that are meant to be also impact weapons first and then bladed weapons secondarily. So very cool. We have a pepper gel canister. This is the sheath, or some people call it the holster. And this is the Saber Red pepper gel. And this is made in the USA. They typically have a 4 to 5 year shelf life. I think I have about 2 years left on this one. And it's a good size. This is kind of like the law enforcement size. They do make smaller ones for sure. And I like the pepper gel version more so than the foam or just the spray. And there's even a couple more than just that float around in terms of different formats. But the gel is just really where I think it's at. It just has more controllable aspects to it, and it really adheres to the person. It's harder to get off your face and so forth. And of course, you really do need to get trained, how to really use that. And I've been through a lot of training with pepper spray by the police department and through my own different work situations in the past. A flashlight. Very bright lights. The whole strobe mode is kind of, controversial. I'm not saying it's not effective. I think a lot of people just don't have probably enough time to get to that strobe mode if they really were in a real self-defense situation. But if you keep your light on the high mode and all you have to do is just press that light, I mean, this thing is ridiculously bright. This is the A Tactical A1S. There's a new brand though. They don't go under A Tactical anymore. They go under WowTac, but the model number they retain that. So just look up WowTac A1S and 1150 lumens, and you have instant momentary on full blast or full output. It's very impressive. And you could also use this as an impact tool, no doubt about it. Built like a tank. That one's like $29.99. And they have the step down. If you don't want that much light, you just want like, I think it's 550 lumens. It's like $19.99. A very good budget offering. Smith & Wesson tactical pens. Of course, there's like a bazillion companies that are selling tactical pens. I think more than half of them are kind of garbage. But Smith & Wesson is pretty good, though. I think this was around $20. It's been a while since I bought one, but it's still value-oriented comparatively to what's out there. Is it going to be like something that you're going to probably really use? Not unless you're up close. And I think that that's going to be one of your last options. You know, I mean, if you feel like that you're really not like your life is not in danger, but you want to get someone off of you, then this is probably better than just pulling your knife and stabbing someone. It's not so blunt, but it's not so sharp either. I mean, you get someone in the rib with this or in a pressure point, you're going to get their attention. And if they're just like someone that's drunk and that's kind of, maybe they took you down to the ground and they're kind of screwing around with you, or they're just confused, or maybe there's someone with a mental illness that is trying to harm you, but you don't really want to harm them back. And you feel like that you could, manage the situation for the most part, then maybe something like that, just like a collapsible baton. This is a Smith & Wesson one. It's not that heavy really, and it's not super large and it's extended, but you can get different sizes and weights, and they have tons of super ultralight ones that Asp makes now, but you pay dearly. And something like this, I believe it was like, man, $30-some a few years ago. And so, I mean, are you going to really carry this around? Most people wouldn't and probably would never do that. But man, if it's cold outside and you have a big coat, I've been able to put this in my coat and just forget about it. So maybe at certain times of the year, maybe that you could go with this. And that could really increase the distance between you and someone that's attacking you. And especially if you have multiple attackers, you're going to want to have something that maybe can strike out, and flail out. So it's just really another idea. And that's why I like, the pepper gel, because if you have multiple attackers, especially with this larger canister, I mean, you can get quite a few shots out. I've kind of forgot about how many that you get here. Wow, this one shoots up to 20 feet. I forgot about that. I'm not for sure about how many shots you can get, but I was impressed. I think it's over 15 shots, at 20 feet. So I think that's a great option, especially for multiple attackers. And any more, you have to be aware of that. Now, let's go back to, blades real quick. This is a fixed blade. This is the Gerber Ghost Strike. And there's a series of knives that use that, I think that same name or something, but this is the Ghost Strike. And I got this a little while back, and it's awesome. As you see, it's on my suspenders, or at least one of my suspenders. This is my favorite suspenders. And I keep this, it's vertical on my suspenders. I forget that I even have it on because it's so light, and it's positioned perfectly on my body that I don't even think about. And it doesn't print at all, like under my sweater, Typically under like a jacket or sweater is what I keep this on, or what I wear it with. And yeah, it just hangs inverted, in the vertical position, just upside down. And man, it's good to go. Now, I would probably make one a lot larger and with obviously a steel ball bearing, or at least something that was a metal to give it really good weight. I put a rubber ball in this just as just a fun creation, but this is a monkey fist, and you can make them in all different sizes and different lengths. And you can really whop someone with this, and it's definitely not a joke in terms of getting hit with something like this. If it had a steel core and it was maybe a little larger, it's just another option. You could keep it on your key ring or keep it separate in your pocket. So monkey fist. Some people carry scissors. I'm not saying that you walk around with this size scissors in your pocket, but you may have some smaller scissors, or maybe you're an office worker and you just kind of keep them close by. It's just something to consider. Now, what some people do is they carry a small piece of wire. And I know that some people in countries that have a lot of restrictions on self-defense tools, and all they can really carry is like a flashlight with them, and that's about it. They carry like a piece of wire, and they jam it toward the bottom of the scissors, and then they wrap this part here so it can't open and close. And so it's kind of like stuck like this. It's like rigid. So you can grab, you can grab the handle, and it has 2 points, and the two edges are more exposed, and you can kind of use this as a self-defense tool. I don't know how realistic that would be for a lot of people. I know that I wouldn't probably use it, but if you're in a very restricted area, you got to do what you got to do. Now, what about a multi-tool? A lot of multi-tools have a corkscrew or some type of tool, like maybe it's a driver that sticks out, or maybe even the awl. The awl on some of these multi-tools, especially the Swiss Army knives, are really nasty if you got stuck with them. So if you were to actually cup your hand, even though this is a very, close quarter type of interaction, a lot closer than I would want to be, you can at least do something. You can have something that can force multiplier, if you will, something to kind of redirect and focus all the power of the punch into that person. And even though you don't have a lot of penetration, if it did get into their body, I think that person would know that they just got stuck and stabbed. What about also your belt? This is a 511 tactical belt. It has two sides, very nice. But you could take your belt off if you had to, and you can use it as a whip. A lot of people have told me stories of, having to do that they had nothing else. There's been a lot of stories of females actually that I've known that had to resort to that, and they would use the metal buckle. On this particular belt, it just uses a plastic buckle, but a lot of people have metal buckles on their belt, and they use that as the part that they flail out, and they whip that out, and it creates more distance so that you can possibly get away. I hope this was helpful. I would love to hear other ideas in the comment section. That's kind of all I have for today. I have a lot more thoughts about this. I don't really want to make the video much longer, though, because a lot of people don't watch long videos. So that's it. I want to thank you again for coming around and checking the video out. Thanks for hitting the like button. Thanks for subscribing. And if you have recently, I do appreciate that. Welcome aboard. And you guys take care.